Hello, Internet. It's Jen T. Grace here, founder of Publish Your Purpose Press. And I'm here for day number 19 of our 30-day marketing challenge. So we are well past that halfway mark. As I've been saying, have been doing easier tips, a little bit more difficult tips. And so the end goal is for you to double your book sales in this 30-day marketing challenge. So today's tip is number 19, and it's about understanding your reader's book format preferences. Now, what I mean by that is your reader an ebook person, an audiobook person, a paperback person, a hardcover person? These are the things that we want to be thinking about. So if you go back in time and look to see, what format is your book in? Most often, book formats are in paperback and ebook. That's kind of the most common configurations. However, you can also do a hardcover and you can also do an audiobook. So what I would do, depending on how long your book has been available, if you've had a number of readers who have said to you, "Oh, I really wish you had an audiobook," or "Oh, I really wish this were a hardcover. I love collecting hardcovers." So these are the things that we want to be thinking about. Is it worth your investment to create an additional format? Now, I'm not saying you have to do this, but this is definitely something to take into consideration, especially if you only have an ebook or you only have a paperback book. As I mentioned, those are the two common configurations. Is that typically both of those are usually released at the same time. A lot of times an audiobook comes months after the fact. Sometimes a hardcover book never comes at all. So what I want you to be thinking about is, what have those requests been for the type of book format you have, and are you missing a market opportunity as a result? So at the time of this recording, we are in the middle of the pandemic. So when we're thinking about book options and book sales and distribution and all those things, right now there is a significant delay on shipments of print physical books. Hardcover, paperback, there's a huge delay on both of those formats. So something that typically could have been delivered to you on Prime overnight or within 2 days is now taking 3 to 6 weeks to get to you. So that's your reader's experience right now. So if you are promoting the hell out of your book and you're telling people, "I'm part of this challenge, I'm trying to increase my book sales, etc., but they get to a sales page, whether it's Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, wherever they might be going, and they see that now instead of getting your book in 1 day, it's going to take 2 weeks or 3 weeks, that's a big deterrent. But if you have an ebook version, they might convert into being more of an ebook reader. They may wait it out and say, "You know what? I really want to have that physical copy of the book. I'm just going to wait it out, and I'll wait even if it takes a couple weeks to get to me." Or they might also be audiobook listeners. So it's a really important thing to be thinking about, is what formats is your book currently in? So if you really only have a paperback, I would highly recommend getting an ebook immediately. And it does not have to be super complicated or crazy in order to get an ebook. And if you need assistance or support on that, please feel free to email me. My email is listed all over our website. And so I can connect you with somebody who can convert your paperback book into an ebook relatively inexpensively, and that is a whole other revenue channel for you. In the reverse, if you've only published an ebook, this is very applicable for memoirs and nonfiction books. When it comes to fiction, fiction is not my area of expertise in any way, shape, or form. I don't read it. I don't know how to market it. I'm not interested in publishing it. However, with ebooks and fiction, there's a huge market for ebook readers, or for ebook versions in the fiction genres, because people are so intense and they're so voracious with their reading that they just want constant consumption. So if you're a fiction author, fine, you can start producing ebooks all day long, and you never have to do a paperback book ever, truly. But that is not the case with nonfiction books in any way, shape, or form. If you have a nonfiction book and it is not available in paperback, you need to make that a priority. So, and this is for a number of different reasons. Primarily, there's a huge market for paperback or hardcover books within nonfiction as well as memoir. But there's also a huge market with audiobooks. But from a a sales and consulting and different ways of engagement standpoint, you want to have a paperback book because that's where you can make a ton of money. That's where you have a huge profit margin if you are selling books by hundreds at a time, if you're selling them to a conference or some kind of speaking engagement. And while at this time we're not doing any live in-person speaking engagements, it does not mean that speaking is slowing down. And in fact, I feel like speaking is increasing. So we want to be thinking about how do we have those formats. So moral of the story, if you've published your book and you only have an ebook, you need to get on getting a paperback. On the flip side, if you've only published a paperback book, especially now during a pandemic, you need to get an ebook. So those are the two pillars. You have to have both of those with nonfiction or memoir. When it comes to audiobook and hardcover, those are both just added. I don't want to say added bonuses. The hardcover, I'll say, is more like, hey, a bonus. That's definitely going to cost a little bit of an investment, but it's honestly not that, it's not much more than you really think it would be. You have to have your cover adapted. You have to set up different accounts. You have to find the right way to print the hardcover. And so, that's a whole other kind of conversation. So, but it doesn't have to cost you a ton more. I'm not talking about, it's going to cost you $5,000 to produce a hardcover book. I'm talking like maybe $1,000. And if your readers want a hardcover book, this is the opportunity that it might make sense because you've already done the hard work. The expensive pieces are the editing. So if you just need to have it laid out and have the cover updated so that way it is formatted for a hardcover book, then great. Now you have another revenue stream. So instead of just saying, I have just my paperback, I've got this one channel, now you have the paperback, you have the ebook, you have a hardcover, because readers buy different things. Some readers just love hardcover books. Some readers could care less about hardcover books. I personally don't care for them just because I find that the jackets get damaged too easily and I'm a little bit OCD and I get really mad about it. So I prefer just getting paperback because then I don't have to worry about things getting destroyed. So that's me. But my absolute preference is audiobooks. That is what I like. So for you, and I have an audiobook partner, if you are thinking like, hey, I published this a few years ago, I really think I should do an audiobook, just send me an email and I'll happily connect you with our partner and she can totally help you out. She does thousands upon thousands of these in any given period of time. So audiobooks are really important to take into consideration too, especially if you have a podcast or you have something that maybe it's a video series, something that you do that people are always hearing your voice. If your readers are always hearing your voice, having an audiobook is probably a really good segue. Because if you have a podcast in particular, it's such a natural transition. If people listen to podcasts, there's a high likelihood that they listen to audiobooks. So if you are already doing those things, it is a very smart move to think about adding an audiobook into the mix. And previously, audiobooks used to cost a small fortune. I can remember when they used to cost like $10,000 to produce just the audiobook. The prices have come down so dramatically at this point that you can absolutely make it an affordable thing to do. And for the last, I don't know how many years, it's at least 5 years, audiobooks routinely, every single month, every single chart, report, everything that comes out in the book industry, audiobooks are the one that are constantly rising, just a constant increase. They do not ever go down. All other book formats are always dropping, maybe, but it's like maybe 0.1%. They're always dropping, but audiobooks are climbing and climbing and climbing, which just goes to show that people are consuming more and more audiobooks. So it's something to really take into consideration. So that's today's tip number 19, just really understanding your readers' preferences for what book format you are using. And if you are missing some of these pieces, please look into, you don't have to do it, but at the very least, my ask of you is to look into what it would cost, how much energy and effort would it be to get that other format out there, if it's something that your readers are definitely interested in. So that's today's tip. Couple of reminders as always. I'm doing office hours every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. You can join and ask literally any question you have related to marketing your book, publishing, writing. If you're working on a second one, you want to do a workbook, you name it. I am there to answer your questions. Additionally, we have our WhatsApp group, which is about accountability. So if you're interested in just getting, being around like-minded authors who are just trying to help each other, You can join our group completely free. Both of these things are free, and they're both listed in the links below this video. And then finally, I have a marketing mastermind that will be starting in June. So if that is something that you are interested in, you can go to publishyourpurposepress.com/marketing, and you can apply to be in the mastermind and give a little bit of feedback of what would be most valuable and beneficial for you in a mastermind setting. So that is today's tip number 19. I will be back tomorrow for another tip, and we're gonna kind of go in a down the road a little bit more as it relates to these formatting preferences. So we're gonna start talking about thinking about workbooks and online courses and other ancillary products that go with your book. So that is what you can expect for the next couple of tips. In the meantime, if you have any questions, comments, anything at all, please do not hesitate to reach out and ask. Comment on the video wherever you might be watching this, and I will do my best to address it in another video.